I mean, it is extraordinary, the conversation we're having this morning about a former president, isn't it? I mean, he is in trouble, legitimately, on so many legal fronts. It's sometimes hard to wrap your head around it, isn't it?
Yeah. And look, he stole the election in the first place.
There's
no two ways about it. He stole the election. What is just so frustrating is he stole the election not only by paying off playmates and porn stars to very deeply incriminating information that the American voters had a right to know before they went to the polls, but he also welcomed and encouraged and accepted Russia's assistance in helping him steal the election. And then the minute he was sworn in, he held up this presidential shield against prosecution. It's insane to say someone can steal the presidency, and then because he's president, he can't be held accountable for stealing the presidency. This is mind-numbingly stupid from the Office of Legal Counsel at the Department of Justice, saying you can't prosecute a president for stealing the presidency.
Oh, God, it's like Christmas morning when you're here. And then you leave us with Matt Gaetz saying, I'm not focused on scandal, I'm focused on socialism. And you said, Matt will soon have an opportunity to focus on his indictment.
Yes.
Oh, Santa, I love you. Don't ever go away again. See you next time.
Thanks, Glenn.
See you,
Glenn.
Steph.
Thank you, honey. I mean, do we even need to do a commercial for the Steph store? I mean, the shirts are flying off the right. Look at this. Look at it. Get your face
Look
up
at
there.
that.
Get your face up there. Look. We have them for Team Pfizer, Team J&J. We are all Team Vaccine here. We have amazing.
That's right.
And you can get it on everything. Right, Chris? Not just shirts.
Bath mats, shower curtains. You can get it on art, a clock. You can get
Duvet.
a selfie bomb on a clock.
We have Stephanie Miller swag. We have sexy liberal swag. And, of course, all the vaccine shirts. Get it now. StephanieMiller.com. Whee! Oh, thank God Glenn Kirshner's back from vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Glenn Kirshner will join us.
Yes.
Oh, thank God. In just a few minutes. I couldn't wait anymore. There's too much. Justice has to be. Justice went away with him for a minute. Now Justice is coming because he's back.
Justice has gotten get.
Yeah, something has had happened to Justice, and now something's got to be did, and it will be did, and just I'm dizzy already.
Oh, no.
I'm going to say he was investigating Cancun Cruz. He went down there to investigate.
Did Ted Cruz eat a fly on live TV?
No.
Yes, he did.
Am I told that this?
No, he did not. That was photoshopped. I watched
It
the
looked
actual
like
clip.
it. It was flying
Let's just
around
say
him.
it happened. Let's
Yeah.
just say it
Let's say he's a big pile of rancid meat, though, that attracts flies in the first place.
Yeah.
Okay. Did anyone? So no one got the interview with the fly? Help me.
It's not doing interviews now. Maybe about 12 hours.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All
Once
right.
it comes out the other end.
Yeah, we have a whole show plan, and then Ted Cruz, you hear on the way down the stairs, Ted Cruz eats a fly, and then you're like, oh, well, now I know how Rachel Maddow feels.
Throughout the entire rundown.
There goes that one.
Yeah.
I'll do the whole show as Ted Cruz's fly.
I did not get audio of the fly.
Does Ted Cruz's fly know Mike Pence's fly? Has anyone checked into that?
It the
Is there
same
any?
fly?
Have we found the old lady who swallowed a fly?
Okay, let me guess, Travis. Before I even delve into the details, another mass shooting, and I'm going to say angry white guy with a history of domestic violence. Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah. Really, shocking news as always.
That John Kennedy NRA tweet really aged well, didn't it?
Yeah, just in its creepiness, just him, massaging his gun like it's his.
I believe in love.
And also the suggestion, right, of domestic violence,
Yeah.
the creepy suggestive. Yeah, I
With
believe
the
in
porn
love, but if
music?
not, you should have a gun. Right,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so he's a guy that worked there, the Santa Clara Valley Transportation Authority light rail facility. Okay, so I don't know what they found explosive device. He might have lit his house on fire, I guess, and 8 people are dead.
No, it's not, another
person.
9.
passed
I'm
over
sorry. Okay, yes.
at the hospital.
I mean, do we even need to do a commercial for the Steph store? I mean, the shirts are flying off the right. Look at this. Look at it.
Look at that.
Get your face up there. Look. We have them for Team Pfizer, Team J&J. We are all Team Vaccine here. We have amazing,
That's right.
and you can get it on everything, right, Chris? Not just shirts.
Bath mats, shower curtains. You can get it on art. A clock. You can get
Duvet.
a selfie bomb on a clock.
We have Stephanie Miller swag. We have sexy liberal swag, and of course, all the vaccine shirts. Get it now, StephanieMiller.com. Whee!
Hello.
Oh, are you just eating grapes?
I'm sitting here peeling grapes, laying back on my chaise lounge of Schadenfreude. It's just
What's with you and the
so
props?
comfortable.
Ellie Mistel's eating popcorn on TV yesterday, and you're peeling grapes this morning. Okay, all right. We've a bunch
That's
of
all a man needs.
all our regulars are prop comics now. Joyce Vance is putting rubber chickens around a feeder.
I heard.
What's happening? Everyone's Carrot Top now that they've been on our show.
Well, yeah. We're in happier moods. That's why.
Malcolm, yes, I know.
Yeah.
You know what I just said to Joyce, which reminds me of you, is the one thing we always thought, right, that Mueller was doing a counterintelligence investigation and a financial investigation. Nope. Now what we're finding out, and look at how fast we got a grand jury when we finally get Trump's taxes, right? And find out that his entire business model has been fraud his entire life, right?
Yeah. Well, and we're going to get the goods because, yesterday I got bumped off of 11th hour. And let me tell you, the news was so interesting. I stayed up and watched all the way through 11th hour. It's just absolutely amazing. And certainly, you got the information from Joyce Vance on other matters. But it's just absolutely amazing how fast this house of cards is crumbling. It's June.
Yeah.
And that means this has been less than 5 months.
Not
and
even
we're finally starting to see, it's not even, and we're finally starting to see the whole process come together. I said it before, I'll say it again. Somebody tweeted it on November 3rd. It's all going to come out now.
I thought of you the other night, Malcolm, mostly you and me, when Rachel Maddow said what we thought happened with Russia. I mean, between the Manafort stuff that's coming, as you always said, this is all coming out now.
Grapes.
More grapes. I know. Right?
It's just so delicious. And when you get the green sour grapes, those are the ones that temper off the top of the Schadenfreude. Because how many times was I called a conspiracy theorist for my 4 books about Trump Russia, or 3 books about Trump Russia? All of this is turning out to be fact. And I really do look forward to seeing whether this Department of Justice, as Joyce Vance said, is going to actually consider the act. Like you said, you've got to have to get a very distinctive quid pro quo. But I think Manafort has a distinctive quid pro quo where he did go silent and lie in order to cover up the Russian relationship to this. The man had been working for Moscow for 20 years. He was hand-selected to be Trump's campaign manager. He picked Mike Pence to be Trump's running mate. And then Trump pardons him. There is a conspiracy in here. There is... there was collusion, and we're going to find out about it. It's all there.
Yes, Malcolm, it seems to me what you just said, crime on top of crime. We have now the original crime that I think we can't just let stand. A president committing obstruction of justice 10 times, an attorney general committing obstruction of justice, and now on top of it, corrupt pardons. I mean, I want to get, Lawrence Tribe said, it now looks like OLC went outside its lane to conclude the evidence Mueller gathered wouldn't have supported indicting Trump for obstruction even if he'd been a private citizen. But that's meaningless. No private citizen could have fired the FBI director. A lot of good points.
Correct.
And it's obviously a corrupt pardon because it was for the purpose of silencing Manafort about collusion, right? I mean, it's how many times do we hear no collusion, no collusion? And what we've learned every day is massive collusion, right? And massive obstruction.
And not just massive collusion with the Kremlin. We're talking the Kremlin's intelligence agencies working for Russian spies. And don't tell me that there's no way that, that there's the information which was collected circumstantially that was not included in the Mueller report is not there. I don't want to hear the FBI say, well, we're just trying to roll up the Russian spies on this one. There are American people who will, when this is all said and done, and I've made this prediction before, the indicators are there that there was actual conspiracy with a foreign power.
Yeah.
And it's gonna break out in Trump's finances. Yeah. Even if we just find out that all of those lands or those apartment sales were legal, but he was making them to the richest Russian oligarchs in the world, all who worked for Vladimir Putin or were laundering Vladimir Putin's money, which meant that he was now in a position where he was being recruited as an asset. I've said this before. I don't agree with Seth Abramson's assessment years ago, because he's a poetry teacher, that there was a signed written contract between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin that he would be a spy for Moscow. That's not how it works. But how it does work is that you identify that person as a potential asset. And as an asset, you test him by putting money in front of him that he can earn.
Yeah.
And so while he's earning those dollars that comes from your bank, or you're a billionaire, like when he bought that $50 million property and sold it for $92 million, they are testing you with other people's money.
Right.
There doesn't have to be a signed contract if you're willing to do anything for money.
If you have not heard of the Sexy Liberal Podcasting Network, your podcasting superstation, you suck. I mean, yes. We have the smartest, funniest liberals in the country. Stephanie Miller's Happy Hour. We have John Fugelsang. We have Hal Sparks, Frangela, Final Word and Idiot of the Week. We have Bob Seska. Oh my God. We have Jody Hamilton from The Bunker. We have Start Me Up with Kimberly Johnson. We have Unprecedented. We have the smartest, funniest podcast, period. Get it now. SexyLiberal.com. Justice is back. Thank God you're back and justice is back. Okay. Help, Mommy. Okay, where do we start? So do you want to start with the charges in New York against... Let's start with the good news, obviously the grand jury in New York with Trump and company. So, you hear all kinds of things all over the place, right, about what's going to happen, who's going to flip. It is unusual, first of all, right? Normally a grand jury is 4 weeks, maybe once a week, and this is 3 times a week. And now, does it mean they're going to do the whole 6 months, or what happens there?
Yeah, not necessarily, but grand juries in New York typically sit for 4 weeks at a time, and the DA has impaneled this grand jury to sit for 6 months, 3 days a week. So, listen, there is no doubt that this is the last stop on the road to an indictment of Trump and company. When you look at every single data point, Steph, it points toward indictment. From the 2-year battle to get a hold of Donald Trump's taxes and financial documents that took 2 trips to the Supreme Court. That's an important data point. Then they hired an expensive forensic accounting firm to pour through those records looking for crime. Then they hired Mark Pomerantz, an expert former federal gang and white collar prosecutor, to be part of the team. And now they've impaneled a special Donald Trump grand jury. This is the last stop on the road to an indictment. I would bet a buck that Donald Trump will be indicted. And it may not take 6 months. That's the outside window. I think we could see indictments sometime later in the summer.
Oh, sorry. I'm fine. I'm fine now. I'm back. So, because we've heard so much talk about, first of all, the story this morning, Jennifer Weisselberg, the former daughter-in-law of Trump CFO, Alan Weisselberg, says she's being evicted from her apartment because she's obviously been speaking out about Donald Trump's criminality. She said, Alan Weisselberg is on my lease. Yesterday, I was served to leave my apartment within the next 7 days. You just saw her on Ari Melber with Michael Cohen and Stephanie Winston-Wolkoff. She said, I spoke about details on the Trump payroll corp on that show. There's definitely tax evasion for the first time. They seem really nervous. She says that she thinks her former father-in-law will flip. He doesn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison or his kids. This this feels so mobby to me, right? That they just like, here's, a free apartment. Here's your grandkids are getting their school paid for, but, stay in line, right? But that's where,
Cy Vance could be using the New York RICO statute to go after the Trump organization as a criminal enterprise. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And look, Alan Weisselberg can't be so foolish, can't be so naive to believe that Donald Trump is not prepared to say, wait a minute, Alan Weisselberg never told me about all these financial crimes he was committing on behalf of the Trump organization. So, of course, that's absurd because we all know what a micromanager Donald Trump is. So he knew about and approved all of these financial crimes. But he is going to throw Weisselberg under the bus. So why wouldn't Weisselberg get in front of that, come on board, and tell DA Vance all about Donald Trump's crimes?
Yeah. I mean, but that's what Michael Cohen said, right? They're all going to flip on each other. He's going to flip on his own children and that just goes with his entire life. I mean, his entire business model has been fraud. We forget, right? Weisselberg already testified against him. Which was it the fraud? Trump University or the fraud charity they had to shut down? I mean, it really, boy, he has a lifetime of justice karma coming, doesn't he? I mean, it's extraordinary what he's gotten away with.
Yeah, and just to do a quick, deeper dive into the grand jury, remember, Cy Vance has been issuing grand jury subpoenas all along for Trump's taxes and financial documents. Remember, Jennifer Weisselberg said, I got a subpoena a few months ago and I handed over a bunch of boxes of documents. What makes this 6-month grand jury different is I believe it's impaneled to put all of the live witnesses before the grand jury. Why is that important? Because when you put a witness in the grand jury, you're locking that witness into their testimony such that when they're called at trial, if they try to spin you and back away from testimony that incriminates Donald Trump, you can use their grand jury transcript against them and you can hand it to the jury and say, it doesn't matter what that person just said on the witness stand. Here's what they told the grand jury. And that is evidence you can use to convict Donald Trump. That's why it's so important at this moment to spend however many months it takes putting all of the live testimony before the grand jury.
Now, Rudy Giuliani says that this is illegal, this investigation into anything that he or Donald Trump has done that's illegal. What is your legal take on that, Glenn? Do we have a Rudy to inflict on him? Which one? 9? Yeah, let's hear it.
First of all, Rudy Giuliani should know what's illegal because he's been involved in illegality for the last several years. But everything Rudy Giuliani says can just be, discarded because all he's trying to do is grasp at whatever straws he can to try to keep from being indicted himself. And I have a feeling after the Department of Justice prosecutors pour through everything they got in Rudy Giuliani's electronic devices, courtesy of a federal judge authorizing a search warrant for Rudy Giuliani's stuff, Rudy's going to be, looking at an indictment himself.
Yeah. You gave us a heads up on Twitter just for what we should expect or see going forward with the grand jury. You said prosecutors cannot disclose who they subpoena to the grand jury. Grand jurors cannot disclose the identity of witnesses who appear before the grand jury. However, the witness can reveal that he or she has been subpoenaed to appear before the grand jury. So, because everybody's going to be on the edge of their seat, right? Going, what's happening? What's going on? Who's today, right?
Yeah, so here's what we're going to see. First of all, we're going to see reporters camped out trying to see who goes into the building and who leaves the building and then chase them down and say, did you testify in the grand jury? You will probably only hear from witnesses who are antagonistic to the prosecutors, right? People who might still be in Donald Trump's camp, because what they're going to do is come out and they're going to be like, I told that grand jury Trump did nothing wrong and this is a witch hunt. Those are the kind of people who are likely to step to the camera and air out their BS. The actual incriminating witnesses, and I'm telling you, they're going to call everybody who, has ever come within 100 yards of the Trump organization. They're going to call bank executives who approved loans. They're going to call insurance company types who issued insurance policies on Donald Trump's properties. Why? Because they're going to show how Donald Trump was playing with the value of his properties, inflating them for loan purposes, deflating them for tax purposes. And when they pour through all these financial documents, the fraud is going to be screaming.
Yeah.
It's going to be jumping off the pages, but they have to put all these witnesses before the grand jury so they can build that case.
I mean, do we even need to do a commercial for the Step store? I mean, the shirts are flying off the right. Look at this. Look at it. Get your face
Look
up
at
there.
that.
Get your face up there. Look. We have them for Team Pfizer, Team J&J. We are all team vaccine here. We have amazing.
That's right.
And you can get it on everything. Right, Chris? Not just shirts.
Bath mats, shower curtains. You can get it on art, a clock. You can get a
Duvet.
selfie bomb on a clock.
We have Stephanie Miller swag. We have sexy liberal swag. And, of course, all the vaccine shirts. Get it now. StephanieMiller.com. Whee!
What's up? How are you?
I'm fine. Okay. You are.
She's a little hysterical. That's
a
what
little
it is.
hysterical. I'm the only. You are the only person
Why?
that has the fierce urgency of now and the passion when I see you on TV that this moment calls for. It is, Ellie. The thing is, I feel like people are so overwhelmed with the criminality that some of the stories don't even make the news cycle. So I'm like, what is this latest thing? Prosecutors investigating whether Ukrainians meddled in the 2020 election. Giuliani's in the middle of that one. Trump's org CFO caught up in another Trump scandal, according to new email exchanges. Weisselberg and the inauguration stuff. I mean, are there enough courts and enough prisons for them all to actually justice to be served?
Well, the question is, are there enough balls, right? I mean, of course there are enough courts and enough prisons. The question is there enough will by prosecutors and particularly by Democrats to actually hold Trump accountable for his crimes? Look, Trump is a criminal.
Right.
He runs a criminal organization. The entire knowledge of Trump in public life, from The Apprentice, from his real estate deals, that was a front for his criminality. This man is a career criminal who has never been prosecuted for his crimes.
Yeah.
You know, back in the 80s and 90s, he could have been prosecuted for fraud. I'm sure nobody bothered. By the 2000s, people were looking the other way about his children and their criminality. So the question has never been, does Trump commit crimes? Yes, he's a criminal. That's what he does. That's his business. The question has always been, will prosecutors ever do anything about it?
Right. I mean,
and
Ellie,
we're kind of still waiting to see.
Yeah, exactly. Ellie, aren't we sort of like, this was the subject of the Pulitzer Prize winning New York Times story. The business model has always been fraud. It's what Michael Cohen said. It's what the New York Times already reported on. And I thought, and you on TV were the only one I heard talking about Cy Vance. Talk to us about that, being a New Yorker, because I hope him announcing his retirement means he's going to go out in a blaze of glory and finally do the right thing as it regards the Trumps, because you were saying, how did didn't Cy Vance let his kids off easy? Which one was that? Which fraud? University, the charity, which
the charity fraud. Jared had some dirt on him that could have been followed up on, that Cy Vance looked the other way with. Look, Cy Vance's history as the Manhattan DA, and if you think about, you're the chief prosecutor in Manhattan, New York, there's some financial shenanigans going on in your jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. But Cy Vance has a long-standing reputation of kind of looking the other way if the potential criminal is famous, right? Donald Trump, alleged criminal, famous person. Harvey Weinstein, alleged criminal, famous person. And Cy Vance has this history of not wanting to go after the famous people in his jurisdiction. And that accrued to Trump's children's benefits repeatedly throughout the teens, right? Throughout, the period of 2010 to 2014 is when prosecutions about Trump might have stopped him from becoming president in the first place.
Yeah.
But Cy Vance wasn't on the ball. So that's part of why we're here. Now the fact that he's leaving, like he's leaving office in November, people have noted that the grand jury he convened to finally maybe push the ball forward on indictments for Trump and Trump org, that grand jury is surprisingly limited to 6 months. They're going to work very intensely for 6 months, but they're limited to 6 months. Why? Because he's out of a job in 6 months. So, some people have said that, perhaps Vance is rushing this because he wants to get some kind of, charge before he leaves office. I think that might be a good thing. I think Cy Vance trying to redeem himself, having had a career basically where his legacy is letting famous criminals off the hook, trying to redeem himself by going out of office with at least a charge against Donald Trump. That would be, I wouldn't put that past him. I could see that being part of his calculus.
But we were saying, well, exactly what you just said. Not just a criminal, a mob criminal. We keep hearing that song Rico Suave in our head, that it's Rico charges at the end of the day. Rico.
Suave.
This one, the son of the late Arlen Specter, said Donald Trump dangled campaign cash to him if he backed off his investigation of the New England Patriots. Right. The two people are saying now Trump offered the late senator campaign funds in an attempt to stifle his probe into the NFL's handling of Patriots' illegal camera surveillance scandal. And I remember that one. I mean, this Weisselberg thing that he tried to kick his daughter out of her apartment. I mean, that would say to me that he's not flipping, that he's mobbing up like Trump is. That's like a vindictive shut up move, right?
Yeah. Look, Weisselberg is in some hot water. As many people have noted, Weisselberg's name is on every document, right? Like all roads lead back to Weisselberg. And if anything hits the fan, that entire criminal family will turn on Weisselberg and say it was Weisselberg's fault. He did all the dirt. It's all his fault, right? On the other hand, if he flips on his boss, who he's been loyal to, who raised him up, if he flips on his boss for the last 30 or so years, there's no guarantee that'll stick. And Weisselberg knows that there is only one Trump criminal who didn't get a pardon, and that was Michael Cohen.
Yeah.
Right. And why did Michael Cohen not get a pardon? Because Michael Cohen eventually told the truth. So Weisselberg has this kind of Faustian choice. I don't want to call it a Sophie's choice, because like Sophie had a legitimate moral conundrum, right? Alan Weisselberg has the conundrum of he could do the right thing or the wrong thing.
Yes, exactly.
Pretty simple, right?
So talk to us about.
But it's hard for him to figure out how to do the right thing.
Talk to us about this. So he's obviously the target of his own criminal investigation. He's being investigated for tax fraud himself. Now, a court document filed earlier this month ties him to yet another Trump financial scandal, the inauguration case. The AG this is the AG in Washington has filed a lawsuit against Trump's inauguration committee and the Trump organization, asserting the committee, a nonprofit corporation, misused charitable funds to enrich the Trump family. So Weisselberg's in the middle of that one as well, right?
Look, the inauguration is one of those scandals. You were just saying that there's so much criminality that some stories get missed. This has been 5 years now. I mean, that inauguration committee, we know, was set up just as a slush fund to give money to Trump. People will remember Trump's inauguration. It was small. Sorry, Sean Spicer. There were not a lot of people there. I forget who the entertainment was. Was it Ted Nugent? I mean, like, they couldn't get any real entertainment for that. I mean, remember Obama's inauguration had like Aretha Franklin,
right?
And so we remember how like low rent, low class, and pathetic Trump's inauguration was. But it was like the richest inauguration committee in history, right?
Like double.
Where did
Obama's.
all the money go?
Yeah.
Into Trump's pockets. And that's been an illegality and a scandal that has been around literally since literal day one of the Trump's presidency, but it's always kind of floating under the surface of other bigger, more horrible corruptions. But Weisselberg was in the middle of that because Trump made his longtime buddy and bagman, Weisselberg, the head of the inauguration committee as well. So yeah, Weisselberg is in deep, and he is in trouble. But whether or not being in deep and being in trouble is enough to make this man tell the truth, we still don't know. And that's part of why the grand jury has brought is being convened, because sometimes people kind of talk a big game before they're actually indicted, and once an indictment is coming, that kind of loosens their lips, if you will.